Test. There we go. Interesting. It had changed my microphone settings. That was fun. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Tonight, I think I'm just going to dive back into some more of the material design stuff and play with it. I was hoping to have a few other things prepped for tonight, but I am not prepped and not ready. So, a couple things, I guess, by way of announcements. So, the 4.0 release for the material design library is now live. So let me jump over here. For anybody interested, there is a whole lot of stuff in here. Specifically, there is a list of breaking changes. So if you are wondering what it's going to take to update and what you need to rename or move around, there's a list here right on the 4.0 release. And then a whole load of stuff that comes baked into this. So nullable reference types. We've got the automatic color contrast stuff. So that you can ensure that your text is easily visible. Lots of features around different controls, new styles, tons of pack icon changes. I'm trying to remember. I think there was something like 1,300 ads. Yeah, there's 1,300 new icons in this release from the last one. So if you're missing anything, it's probably in there. And then the other one I want to call out, huge number of contributors on this one. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I auto-gen this list based on anybody who contributes either reporting issues or pull requests to this. So if your name is on this list, thank you for your contribution on this one. So this list would not be nearly as big if it was just me committing stuff. So thank you to everyone there. I was planning on going through and doing a 401 with just some small bug fixes, and then sure enough, the very next pull request that dropped was an awesome one. I'll show it to you with slider spec updates. So the sliders got a major rev here to get them up to date with the latest material design spec. Be aware there is some slight behavior changes. We're going to dive into what those are here in just a minute because we're going to look at another pull request updating this. But there is a huge number of these things. Very, very cool. So we're skipping 401 and going straight to 410. So that's the game plan there, and there's already stuff getting loaded into it. A couple other things. I saw this today on Twitter and thought it was the coolest thing ever. So if you have a 3D printer or your local library or maker shop might have one, you can go to skyline.github.com and it will generate you an STL, which is a file for a 3D printer, right? And so you can get your own 3D model of your contributions for 2020. Turn the music off. That's pretty cool. I thought that... I had a couple people tell me, why would you want that? And I went, that looks cool. I totally want that. So just be aware. In terms of next week, I was given a license to Endepend in exchange for being willing to go through and do kind of a review and walkthrough of my thoughts on it. So I just got that license today. I'm hoping by next week I'll have had a chance to put it through its paces. And then I think we will probably point it at some of my open source libraries and we'll see what it can do. So far, I've been very impressed with the half hour or so that I've had to spend with it and play with it. It's been totally awesome. So we'll put it through its paces and see what comes of that. So if you're not familiar with this, I'll drop a link to it in the chat. But there is that guy there. So wonderful little app, and that's what we're gonna look at probably next week. I want to have a chance to actually learn it a little bit so I can give it a fair shake. Okay, so we are going to. There's a couple pull requests here that I wanted to do. So let me actually open the library first of all. And actually, let's just jump. Before I do that, we're going to jump straight to this pull request. Get it open, and then we will. Then we'll open Visual Studio. So the previous pull request here, there's one, and he calls it out in his behavior notes. But on these discrete sliders, the material design spec shows that while the slider has focus, whether keyboard or mouse, the let's see, discrete sliders. Let's see, down to here. You'll note when the mouse is hovering on it, it has focus, therefore the little pop-up is shown. But even if it's just focus, note the mouse isn't here, right? This is expected to be shown, which means when you drag it and move your mouse away, the previous behavior that we had is this little pop-up would go away. That's no longer true according to the spec, right? As long as it still has focus, which once you click on it, you're giving focus to the slider, this pop-up is going to be visible. So one thing I requested, and he threw in a pull request right away for it, which was awesome, was an attached property. So by default, we follow the material design spec, right? So by default, if you do nothing, you're going to get the behavior that's defined here. However, if you want to go back to the old behavior, that's what this is about, is slap on an attached property. It's a little long and verbose, but you're turning off default behavior to go back to something that's not conforming to spec. So I'm kind of okay with that. So let me get, whoop. Yeah, see, end depend. We're going to have fun with it. Let's see, close this. So let's fire up the demo and take a look at this. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. Ooh, one more little bit. Shameless plug and self-promotion. For anybody who is interested in testing, I wrote a blog. Put the link here. There's the link in the chat as well. On figuring out effectively what types of tests you should be writing, right? This has actually come up in more than one project that I've worked on in the last few months, where people tend to pick a test that's very far to the right in terms of execution time and effort, when it could easily be pushed further left and have it be faster. So I intentionally worded it this way, a guide to practical unit testing. I've got about half a dozen of these practical unit testing style blogs in mind to write, so I plan on doing more of these. So if there's thoughts that you have around testing or are interested in learning more, let me know, because like I said, I've got about half a dozen things, and if there's a topic or bit that is either missing or would interest you, let me know and I'll make sure that I get it covered. Okay, sliders. This guy here. There was also a nice little bit of work that went in on this demo app to make it a little more performant, which was great. So you'll note, I click, my mouse goes away. This little guy's still here, right? And so I can slide it, which is great, right? And, as soon as focus moves away, does all that. This guy here. Now, one of these guys, this one. So this one here, that's the key difference. You're right. No, even though I still have it, it then fades away. So you can get it only while in the dragging state, which is close to the old behavior that we had, which is great. Right? So functionally, this works exactly as I would expect. Let's check out the code. So there is a addition to the demo app, which I believe is probably this one right here. Certainly looks like it. Where the attached property is set here, you'll note it defaults to false, sets it to true to turn it on. Great. Let's see, we've got a Boolean multi-value converter, an inverted Boolean converter, and then we've got the attached property here on a new slider assist class. So that's an easy approve. I kind of want to load. Yes, I know it's a big diff. Do it. Do it anyway, please. Okay, so what do we got here? So why did that? Because we added storyboards. Oh, nice. That's really clever. So this cleans up a lot of code. Oh, nice. I like getting rid of the begin storyboards on enter actions. These ones can sometimes be timing nightmares. They're not usually a big deal if the time is short, but you can run into issues if this storyboard's executing and then like something unloads the whole element. We've seen a few bugs around things like that where because these things aren't tied to visual states, if your state changes really rapidly, it can be problematic. Again, not a big deal. So this is a multi-binding converter. So this still has the begin exit action. Again, not a huge deal. That looks good there. Same thing on that. Same thing here. Because this boils down to a lot of the thumb stuff. I like it. I like it a lot. I'm trying to think. Do I need a test over this or not? I think we're just going to merge as is in the interest of getting it in. So, looks good to me. Easy approve. Easy approve. So we'll slap this sucker in the milestone. Squash merge, and away we go. Sweet. We're just going to keep grabbing stuff. Okay, so I wanted to look at this one too. So this is so yeah, so the so sample 5 we have it's worth understanding this too. So the dialog host control by default uses a pop-up control. The advantage of a pop-up control is it's outside of the window itself, which allows it to be larger than the window. So if you have a pop-up with more content, or at least content that's taller or narrower than your window, it'll show appropriately. The problem is it's outside the window content, so oftentimes it doesn't behave and can't be constrained to the window as some people would like. So there's a secondary dialog host that's called the embedded dialog host. So rather than using a pop-up control, what it does is it embeds it inside of the visual tree. This gives some nice little advantages to it. But more importantly, it can constrain it to your window, but it no longer uses a pop-up control. And apparently, it had focus problems. So let's see. Oh, this looks easy. I'm a little curious. Let me test this real quick because I haven't switched branches yet. So this should replicate for me right here. So the idea being, right? So when I hit this button, I'm automatically focused here without me doing anything. Whoop, breakpoint. I was testing some stuff the other day on the dialog host. Apparently left breakpoints. This one, no focus. So this should be an easy test. Let's bounce over here. Yep. Go ahead and pull that in. Sure, dialog host. And let's test this guy out. This should just work. So now if I go here, shift over, click the button, look at that. Perfect. Once again, easy approve. Easy approve. Okay, squash merge. And we'll get both of those in. Okay, I was contemplating going and taking a look through some of these issues. This one here came up on the chat room, and this one's actually a little challenging. So there's a very specific use case, and I wrote a test for it. So if anyone wants to take a crack at it, I would not be opposed to somebody coming up with a solution. So the idea is, okay, so you've got a dialog host, right, that has a dialog content. In this case, the content's very simple. It's got a text box and a button, And the key part here is the button has is default true, and the text box has accepts return false, which is the default, right? So those are the two key settings in here, right? And then if we jump back and look at the code behind on this guy, you'll note when it shows the dialog, it creates some content, right? A view model, calls show on it, and at the end of the show call, it just reads the text back out. And this view model that it creates, right? It's a very simple view model. It just has a single string property on it. But the issue being is that this text box, when it binds to it, I'm sorry, that text is tiny. But this text box, when you bind to that text, the default binding for this is going to be two-way, but it binds on or the binding mode is lost focus, right? So it's not property changed. And so when your focus is in this text box and you press the enter key, this button triggers before this guy loses focus, which causes this command to get executed. The dialog host closes. You end up hitting hitting the end of this await because the dialog finally closes down, right? You hit the end of the await, you come in here. This guy will eventually get updated. The binding will trigger once the dialog goes away, but that's well after this has already bypassed. And so you end up getting into this state where it looks like you don't have this. If you were to hold on to this view model instance for a longer period of time and check it later, right? Like, for example, you'll note I'm just passing, there's two instances of this guy being created, right? But if you were to pass data context here, you would see it update appropriately. So it does, in fact, update. It just updates really late. And I don't know. I did a little bit of hunting on it and spent an hour or so poking it, trying to come up with a fix. And I couldn't come up with anything that worked because of that timing issue. And I don't know how reasonable it is to try and fix it. But that's the setup. So if anyone wants to take a crack at it, I'm very open to suggestions. Okay, drawer host throws an exception. Let's see, VS 15. Ooh, so it's an older one. Exception, argument exception, format exception. Works fine with material design 3.2.0. So we did make some changes to the drawer host, specifically around events. So it would not shock me if there was an additional change. I'm gonna pull up latest master now. I got a lot of remotes. I got to start closing some of these out. So let's just switch back to master, and then I'm going to relaunch the app just for good measure, and we will see. This doesn't feel like something with enough details to reproduce, but we'll take a look. Okay, so I want to pin. So this is the app on startup. There are technically a argument exception and a format exception. So let's do this. So I'm not surprised if it's the drawer host because there is one at the root of this. So we're going to go debug Windows exception settings. So something you can do here is the default setting for this window, and you can just click this button if you ever want to get back to the defaults, is the debugger will typically only break on an unhandled exception. In this case, we kind of want to stop as soon as we hit the argument exception. So what we're going to tell the debugger to do instead, come here, is rather than blowing up at the, when it's uncaught, blow it up immediately. So break when this exception is thrown. So it'll break at the time the throw call occurs, not at the point where it realizes that there's no catch block. Let's see. Argument exception. Requested value modal was not found. Okay, so let's just do a quick. That doesn't give me a lot to go on. So this is probably the guy here. Let's take a look. Is this inside the drawer host? It is. So that would line up with it. Let's just process of elimination. Restart. I wish there was a way to easily detect these types of failures. I don't know how to do that. I know how to do them in the debugger, but it would be very nice if I could have something that would notify me of them up here. So if I go back to my output window, okay, so it is there. Okay, so that is in fact the cause of it, is this guy. So let's take a look. So what is this thing intending to do? So it's a style on a content presenter, and it's hunting open mode. So this guy here, I'm wondering if it's simply a matter of changing this to a static reference so it knows what this is. Boom. And let's do what is the prefix that we've got going on here? Local. There were build errors. Drawer host open mode. Ah. Modal. Oh, dang it. Did I mess that up? I may have made a mistake. That is disappointing. Sup, Robert? Welcome. We're figuring out that I can't spell. If that wasn't apparent already. Let's see. Material, design, drawer, host. So what's new then? Yeah, par for the course. Yeah, this is. Yeah. See that little E? It turns out that model is not the same as modal. Dang it. And this is why it is important. How did I not catch this when I was running it? Which sort of, so here's the thing, right? Let me just comment this whole thing out. Given that thing was using the wrong value to begin with, I'm going to go with this style was probably never triggering. Let's see. I'm going to go with I probably don't need that style at all. That's really, really frustrating because that's technically a broken change. So let's see. All right, so that works. Yeah. I mean, so the way I'll probably do it though is I'll probably leave the bad spelling in, flag it as obsolete, and then delete it on the next major rev. I get to start a 5.0 breaking changes list, and I'm what, 1 week in to a release? Disappointing. What's tonight's Mountain Dew flavor? Currently, a Code Red, which is wonderful. But I do have a voltage sitting in queue. So there's that. You probably didn't catch the beginning of this stream, Robert, but next week we are going to have some fun with Ndepend. Ndepend. I can spell. And try out this lovely little piece of software. So I was granted a license in exchange for evaluating it, and so I just got the license today, and so I want to have a little bit of time to play with it and see what it can do. But I think next week we're just going to turn it loose on some of my projects and go through it. Because so far I've only spent like 30 minutes playing with it, but what I've seen in the first 30 minutes is kind of impressive. So, okay, so this guy is a legitimate issue. This thing here, this is all around, so this style isn't even necessary. So this was targeting when in modal mode, disable the content presenter. That was the intent. When in mobile mode, yeah, so we don't even need the style, right? Because if we go standard, yeah, so we're going to fix this two ways. We're going to A, whack the problem. B, come over here, put back the bad spelling. Obsolete. We will flag you. Let's see. Use door host open mode modal instead. Will be removed in future release. Okay, that'll go like that. Lovely. Okay, so what's going on here? So that changed there. Whack the problem. Great. We should not cowboy this straight into master. Let's do a branch. Fix. 2248. Let's see. Fix format exceptions. Have you used it much, Robert? Like, it looks really cool, and like I said, what my initial impression is very positive. So the only gripe I've had so far is that because I run my Visual Studio with larger than regular font size, there's a few of their windows that don't scale nicely with the bigger fonts. So, but if that's my biggest complaint, they're as good as the Microsoft tools that they're built inside of. Unless your supervisors who don't code control the quality gate on the gated check-ins. Yeah, I can see that as a problem. The other thing that I noticed, it was actually really one of the things that really impressed me. Hang on, I thought I created a branch. Did I not make a branch? Was how it put a number on tech debt. Like that in my mind is awesome, because sometimes it's really hard to quantify how much the tech debt is costing you. Okay, so let's see. Labels real quick. Bug. Assign me because reasons. Milestone 410. And then pull request. And we'll let this thing go. But the fact that it actually tries to do an estimate of how long it's going to take you to make changes, like even simple stuff, right? Of, hey, you didn't name this stuff properly. It tries to guesstimate how long it's going to take you to do those renames. And I think the estimates may be a little high, but from what I saw, you can tweak them. And then more importantly, in addition to the cost to change it, it actually tries to calculate the cost to not fix it too, right? And then it calculates the break-even point of, hey, this is going to be, it's going to take you, say, 22 days to fix your tech debt. And if you don't fix it, it's going to cost you, 7 days a year or something like that, right? And I really, really like that. And it'll even, if you tell it how much a developer makes per hour, it'll even put a dollar number on it for you. Which, yeah. And like I said, I kind of want to have a little bit of time to play with it ahead of time. Because one of the things that it flagged on one of the projects is it was like, oh, you named this stuff wrong. I'm like, no, you just don't know our naming scheme. And changing their naming rules to make it match the scheme that I wanted was stupid simple. Like it took me about, I don't know, 2 minutes. I was like, oh, I'm done. That was easy. So, like I said, very positive so far. But only giving a short bit of time to play with it. Like I want to mess around with it a little bit more so that I understand the tool before trying to tell people my opinions of it. Aside from I like the look of it so far. Okay, so there's that, and that cleans that up, that cleans that up, that cleans that up. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, so that guy's a bug. Trying to decide. So this one here, I actually just don't give supervisors too much control. Yeah, that goes into it. Though I sometimes struggle with the opposite problem of like I have a low tolerance for letting tech debt build up, and I like to get it addressed. And oftentimes I feel like I'm fighting with people who are like, let's just leave it in. How bad could it be? It's like, no. You don't understand. This is costing us money every month that you leave this in place because it's, making the developers waste time. And so I like how it put a dollar figure on it because now it's, assuming I play with it and get it honed in a little bit, it's like now you can kind of go to them and say, look, this is how much your decision of not fixing it is costing us. And my experience is dollar figures matter to people. Okay, so this is going back to the character counter, and I realize, so it's always exciting when you kick a release with new features and breaking changes because everyone's going to be unhappy with you. And sure enough, but so far I haven't had that much negative feedback, but I have had like 4 questions now over various channels of people asking this exact question of, I want the character counter turned off, turn it off, and yada yada yada. And so there is technically a way to do it, right? Like it was asked on Twitter, and I linked out to my response there, showed an example. Basically, you can effectively just null out the style on the character counter and it goes away, right? And it gives you a way of doing it. My thought here is I could make this a little cleaner. I think that's what we're going to do. So I think we're going to just add in an option for that. So let's go back to master. Because I think that's probably the easiest way to do this. Okay, so what we would like to do, and for this I think I'm going to start with a test, right? Because this is something I want to write a test for. UI tests. Because UI tests are awesome, and I love my UI test framework. I was very happy over the weekend, Robert. People would report bugs, and I actually found it quicker to write a UI test to replicate the bug than to go and like tweak the demo app or one of my sample projects to match. I was like, that feels like a good, when I trust my UI tests as much or more than the demo app, that's pretty good. I can get on board with that. Okay, so we've already got some tests here about displayed, right? Yeah, so we've got this. So this is pretty much the starting test, right? Of character counter with max length set is displayed. And I think what I want to do, right, is I think I want to say with max length set and flag, we'll come back to whatever and flag means in a minute. But I think what I would like to do is something like material design, text box assist, character counter visibility. And I'm a little torn on how this should play out. But I almost wonder if you do something like this, right? It really, would people ever use hidden versus collapsed? Maybe they're going to do some fancy trigger with this. But this is what I'm thinking, right? So I don't care what the text is. What I care about is get visibility, right? And this should be equal to visibility collapsed, right? So this is the new test. See, this is why I was saying I was loving my UI test framework. Like, that was easy. I'm done. I wrote the test. Now I just got to make the code work. But I'm thinking something like this. Because people are fairly familiar with the assist class in this library, or at least because they're littered over all of the samples, they know to look there for them. I don't know if it's necessary. Like, I have a love-hate relationship with all of our assist classes because these are not discoverable. If you don't know to go looking for these, it's not obvious. Okay, so let's go here. Why was it text? Oh, is it text field assist? Oh, it is. I hate that. Why do Java developers wear glasses? Oh, because they don't see sharp. Yes! Love it. Love it. Sorry, Java developers. I will say I was a Java... Sorry. I was a Java developer for a short period of time. I was also a Ruby on Rails developer for a short period of time. I won't claim to know either of them anymore, but at one point in time, I did do them. I've also done a lot of mobile development, and so obviously I'm biased towards Xamarin because I can do mobile development in C#, and C# is awesome, as aforementioned stated. And it always has baffled me how much, I should say, how difficult some things are in Java and like Objective-C or Swift. Like, I do not understand how mobile developers survive. Okay, so something about an attached property. No, it was prop A. Boom, right? And we were going to do visibility, and then I don't even remember what I called it. Boom, character counter visibility. Right? And then I don't know why text field assist. It would be really great if these things would, or if the templating engine would be able to figure that out. Let's see. And we are going to obviously default this to visible because we want this to be shown. We're going to expression body all the members because expression body members are cool. Boom. Something, 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 character counter visibility. Okay, and then all we have to do is go and change the template to support it. Why am I blanking? Because it's below me, not above me. And I want to go down to here. And I think I'm going to do this too. I realize it's a little bit redundant to set it here, but I have found that when people see these in the styles, it definitely helps grok how they could override them if they wanted to change it in their style. So we'll lead with that. Okay. Now, I think what we do, because I don't want to break the previous guidance that I gave people of, hey, if you don't like how this style is working, just dump in an empty one and your problem goes away, right? So I believe what we're going to have this guy do is he is going to go with visibility, right? Value, binding, let's see, relative source, find ancestor type. Okay, so for everyone in the chat too, off-topic question for you. So I have been asked multiple times in the last couple weeks for new programmers who are looking to learn and improve their skills, what books / literature or training should they look at? So before I give my answer, I'm curious if anyone else has suggestions of what you would go and look at. Okay, so this guy is going to go up. Let's see. Go find that, and then we want to bind to the. So let's see. What is my prefix in here? WPF, I think. Yeah, text. No, not text block assist. Text field assist. Character counter visibility. There. Okay. And step 1, run the test. See what happens. No one has suggestions. So one of the suggestions that I've pointed people to, and I actually brought it up with a colleague earlier today, is one of my measures of how good a developer is based on their ability to evaluate the quality of code, right? Like that's usually where I start to see the separation between somebody with a lot of experience and very little experience or knowledge and skill. Like everybody's heard the horror stories of somebody who copies and pastes from Stack Overflow, right? And usually those horror stories come because they weren't able to evaluate what was bad about the code that they copied versus somebody else who will maybe take code off of Stack Overflow, but they're able to evaluate, oh, no, this is actually a reasonable bit of code. You know, we can bring it in or we need to tweak this or that, right? So if there was a great way for me to like quantify and measure that on every developer, that would be awesome. But I don't think there's a great way to do that. But to that end, one of the books that I usually recommend to people is The Pragmatic Programmer. Now, the edition I have is somewhat old and dated, and I don't know if there's an updated edition. So I usually tell people, every time you see a proper noun for a programming tool, disregard it. The tools in the book are dated, and there's usually newer, better tools. But the principles in the book are spot on. Absolutely spot on. Okay, so what did we do? XAML parse exception. Cannot set unknown member character counter visibility. Well, what did I do wrong? Did I mess up? Did I typo something? Text. Oh, I did. See, text box assist versus text field assist. Those are that matters. You got to get the class name right. Oh, thank you, Robert. Okay. Show me the window. Come on. Pop. Where are you? Thinking, thinking, thinking. This should be popping up a window and doing something. Hello? Did you get yourself into a broken state? Let's look. XAML test is running. End task. Kill that sucker there. Relaunch. I'm now mildly concerned that I've introduced like an infinite loop or something into the app. Because that would be exciting. Hello? Hello? Oh, I'm also realizing that this should be... Yeah, I don't know either. It's just kind of spinning. Like, I see it starting the process, and the process is doing something. I'm somewhat tempted to dive in and debug it. But before I do that, usually what I've seen when XAML test does something weird like this is usually because there is an error in the XAML, and if I just launch the app, it'll show it to me. Oh, see, I debug Windows exception settings. Hang on, this is the one we just fixed. This isn't an unhandled exception. That exception's handled. It's just not. Let's see. So let's look at fields, right? And I want to go and change this one with the assist class. So let's go here. Let's see, where's the max length? There's name, phone. Yeah, so let's go here. So material design. Come on. Sometimes the designer does not play nice while debugging. Text field assist. Character counter visibility. Right? And collapsed. So now we should not see it. And then we got to go figure out why the heck XAML test is losing its mind. I'm sort of hoping that this blows up. Ah. It's working as designed. I've introduced an infinite loop somewhere. That's exciting. That is exciting. What have I done? What have I done? So XAML test was very accurately representing what the actual thing would do. If you add an infinite loop, it spins forever. Though it does make me realize I should implement some sort of timeouts on it. Let's start with this. Text box. So what's going on here? So this guy is going to reach up. Let's go back. Let's go down and look at that guy because border underline helper text box character counter. So there's this guy here. Ah, this guy. Property visibility visible. Got it. So that's a bit problematic. That is why it is hanging. So we've got one guy who's trying to set his visibility with a binding reaching up to his parent. Then we got a trigger down here that's also trying to set it. And so they're fighting with each other. That's exciting. Okay, so the key part here, though, is this guy here is really just around the idea of I don't understand why I can't just apply this style universally. So here's what I think we do. Right? So what we're gonna do, we're gonna break this up so that these things don't have to fight with each other anymore. So we're gonna take this guy, right? We're gonna pull this off and we're gonna move it up here. So this is just gonna straight up, let's see, style gets, boom, binding, right? Okay, so there's that. So that style is just gonna sit there, no more thinking. Now there is an issue here. Because before, whenever that guy would go visible, this guy would apply the style, right? And that's not really what we want to do. And I think what I can do, can I do this? I don't think I don't think I want this, because what will happen here is this guy and whatever set in that style are going to fight with each other. But what we can do is something more akin to this. Right, so what we can do is we can just wrap, what is the lightest container I can think of? Border, probably. What we can do is we can just take this little sucker here, say you, hop on in, right? Don't do anything fancy. This grid setter moves up here, right? We'll give you a name, character counter container, right? And what we will do is we will just hide that container. So rather than collapsing the text box, I'll collapse its container. Okay, now we run the test, because I think it's just going to work. So my test might need to change to query the isVisible property, not the visibility property. Oh, but it works just the same. Cool. So let's real quick run all of our character counter tests just to make sure, test-wise, the world should be a happy place. See, starts the app, and we broke one. Character counter without max length. So I don't think I want get visibility, right? I think I want is visible. Assert false, because because I don't care about the visibility property of the character counter text block. I just care that it's not visible. Yeah, so that's better. And same here. I really don't care. I don't want to care as much about, let's see, get is visible. I don't want to care as much about the implementation of exactly which property gets set. What I care about is that this thing is not shown anymore. That's what's important. Right? Ooh. Shameless self-plug for my blog again. Because I can. Because darn it, it's my stream. And I get to do that kind of thing. So people are interested. This guy here, sort of that same principle of identify what it is that you are testing and what is important, because that also ties directly into, how you write the assertions. Like, what are we testing? So we're gonna make this is gonna be a long, obnoxious name, but visibility collapsed. It's a unit test, or I should say it's a test. It's designed to be big and ugly. Okay, so last thing to do here is just fire the demo up and make sure it works. And I think this is probably as simple as things can get. Boy, I have to say, I really appreciate the pull request that came in. So max length is set. Not shown. Yay! Okay, so what we are going to do here, I am going to throw away the demo app one. And I think what we will do is, I'm going to take that question issue and I'm going to use it as 2247. Let's see here. So we're going to come up here, create branch, fix issue number. Whoop, show me the changes. Text box text. Great, that looks good. Hey, stage. Thank you. So visibility on the container style defaults to visible. We wrapped it in a border. The border sets the appropriate grid and gives itself a name. That name is now targeted here. Wonderful. Stage file. There's the attached property. Defaults to visible. Want to change this comment. Specifically, I just want to get rid of this line. Discard this line. Thank you. Perfect. Let's see. Adding an attached property to hide character counter. Character counter. See, this is the problem with not being able to spell. Things like that get really hard. See, fixes. Boom. Commit. Push. And boom. Let's see here. So this guy, come up here. New pull request. Hey. Ooh. Find it. Find the branch. Did you not push? Oh. You did not finish pushing. Find it, GitHub. Refresh. There we go. That's the button I wanted. Sometimes you just got to time it. Sure. So this is going to go milestone. And I think I want to tag this one as release notes, because that's something that should make it into the release notes. Let's see. Create pull request. Come back to our other one, which I assume is done. It is. I think this one needs to be labeled on release notes as well. As much as I hate to admit that this one did that. Let's see. Fixes there. Let's make sure the related bug is in the right milestone. It is. Great. Squash merge. Squash merge. Boom. Delete my branch. Everyone's happy. Let's see. I think I want to make sure this guy gets labeled there. And then we'll merge that and then we'll talk about it later. Okay. Binding error when clearing items. What was this one? This binding causes errors if items are removed from the collection of the data source. Okay, so somebody's gone to a great deal of effort. So 3.3, it works fine. The only problem with this is there was a substantial number of changes between 3.3 and 3.2.0, specifically around the data grid. So I don't know if that's overly helpful, but knowing this. Okay, so step one, let's just make sure we can replicate the issue. What's the easiest way to do that? One, go back onto the master branch. So pull, switch. 2248 is now dead. Delete. Boom. Actually, we'll just delete this one too. Let's see. Delete that too. Delete that too. We're just going to start throwing stuff away. That's why we pushed it. So we can throw it away with impunity. Okay, I think we just go to the grids. Hello, Visual Studio. What is going on? The XAML designer is busy. I don't doubt that. I just changed a bunch of files on you. Stop doing designery things and go away. Okay, so let's look for data grids. Okay, I think what we do is we just attach up something to one of my data grids to delete. Yeah, I think that's all we do is we're just gonna, let's add some delete functionality to one of these grids. I think key down is probably the easiest. Right, I think is the solution. Let's see. Does this guy have a name set on him? Nope. So we'll go var data grid gets. Again, we're not keeping this code. We're just testing. So quick and dirty. Data grid dot selected item. Yeah, so we'll do this. If selected item is not null, all right, we will go with let's see, view model remove selected. And actually, we should probably start with this. If e dot key equals, right? We should probably not delete on every single key press. Maybe just on delete key presses. That sounds better. Something kind of like that. Selectable view model. Okay, so fine. Selectable view model. I don't care what type it needs to be. I just find it and pass it. Okay. Let's see. Show me grids. And then I believe we did the first one. So we highlight that. And I want to come over to my output window and clear it. Just because I'm not clear where this binding error is going to occur. Because green circled currently, no binding errors. So we're going to go there. We're going to go delete. What concerns me is it deleted the row. No binding errors. Huh? Wait, what? No. Huh? Does the data grid have built-in support for deletion? I may have just learned something new. I mean, that's cool. Change of plans. This is now going to be F2. Because darn it, I want to actually test removing it. Because clearly the bug doesn't reproduce with just deleting, but I'm not confident that. Oh, F2 might have been a really bad choice. Because F2 is hijack. Oh my word. Okay. So what's a key that's not going to get used? I need a key that's not used for anything else. I don't know. How about F12 is probably going to be not hijacked by the data grid. Okay. I'm learning so much. F12. Huzzah! Breakpoint. Okay. Okay, so I think this one here we punt back for a moment. You can reproduce it. Could you provide a project? Illustrates the problem. Boom. And comment, and then we punt this guy over here from, well, we'll leave the bug label on there, and then I need the out for feedback, waiting for feedback, that's what it's called. Okay, and away we go. Next, border thickness causing text box size to change. Yeah, this one I don't know what to do about, because honestly, the outline border thickness is not intended to be used this way. Let's take a look at it, since we've been mucking with it the text box style this whole time. It's probably simple enough. Let's check our pull request real quick. Boom. It passes. Huzzah. Squash merge, squash merge. Boom, boom, boom. See, in the next release, there will be a new attached property you can use to hide the character counter. And I think what we do is we just go here, we go text box tests. Boom. Go to the bottom. What? Oh, I just merged it, so I don't have it yet. Boom. Now I do. And we just grab this, copy. Comment. Okay, so there is that. Delete branch. Okay, so border thickness on the text box. So we're going to throw this data grid stuff away for the moment, and let's go back to the text box. So the issue is this outline text box. So if we jump over here, go back to our old friend. All right, boom. Is we've got these outline text boxes. And the problem is the expectation is being able to change the border. The problem is that's not the intent of how that property is supposed to be used. However, given that we've seen multiple people have this problem, that's clearly how people want to use it. So the question is, how can we make that work? Because this is definitely a case where you're now moving outside the material design spec, but let's see, cancel. But at the same time, I do generally have the opinion that if a bunch of people are trying to do something, there's probably a good reason. Good reason, right? I can't always say it's a great reason, but there's usually a good-ish reason. So, given that, let's take a look. Let's take a look. Text box. So, boom, 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 collapse, collapse. What I want to do is look at specifically this style. Boom, jump me there. Right? So this is the attached property that it's setting, right? So you don't have to use this style. You could just go straight and set this thing. Boy, why is my... Oh, it's because my thing is so far zoomed back. I'm sorry, Robert. Let's see here. So when this guy is true, it does a whole bunch of stuff. But specifically, it does things like adjust the border thickness. Yeah, and that's the problem. I don't know. I'm going to ignore this one for now because I don't know a great way of doing this. Let's try this. We were just doing data grid stuff. Let's see. Pressing the left arrow will lose focus and cannot focus. Does nothing. So I think this is probably a focus scope problem. So I tested this one before, but I kind of want to try WPF default control control templates. I have a feeling this is a data grid. I have a feeling there's a focus scope that needs to get set, and that's what's breaking. Let's see. So let's just see if I can... Oh boy. These are just states. Okay, so that's not overly helpful. That's not overly helpful. Okay, we might end up having to do this freehand. So let's restart so we can get the latest code that we just merged. And then we're going to go back to our data grid friend, because I have a sinking suspicion I know what's going on. Okay, so data grids. So the issue here, right, is, right, I go left, 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 and now my focus is gone, and oh, I guess I was able to get back. So I guess the question is, where is my focus going? So everybody's good friend Snoop. Let's pop this guy open and let's leverage this guy. So I'm going to move you to the side. So on Snoop, there's this wonderful little thing down at the bottom. Keyboard focused element. This is your friend when you're chasing these bugs. Right? So we're going to just move you over. But what I'm watching is this bottom guy down here. Right? So let's go here. We're going to go left, left, left. So it moved me to a list sort direction indicator. But down arrow gets me refocused. Okay, so the other thing that I want to test, the other thing I would love to test, what does this grid look like for setup wise? This guy's a complicated grid. This guy's a simple grid, right? Yeah, you are a simple grid. What do you do? So it's going to that list sort direction indicator, and then I have to press down to come back. So the other thing, you can click on it, and it'll jump you to it in the Snoop tree. So I am here. So this is the direction indicator on the is selected up here. So the left arrow is jumping me up to the sort direction indicator. Isn't this thing visible false? No, it's visible. Yeah, so there it is. So that's where it's going. That's probably not right. So I guess the other question I have is, what is default behavior here? What is default behavior? Let's pop a project real quick. And this is one area where I'm not going to use my UI stuff, simply because what I'm looking to do is test UI interaction. And a test library does not work great for UI interaction tests. Something WPF. d:/dev WPF app 4, the greatest of app names. And we'll do net 5 because yay, net 5. Okay. So what we want is we want our window to be as close to our other one as possible, which this guy has a pretty simple copy. So we're gonna literally use the exact same. Okay, Snoop, you're in the way. Go away. We're gonna use the exact same XAML. Keep it as utterly as simple as we can. The main window view model. Let's see, clean that up for me real quick. Let's see, public class main window view model. All right, we're just gonna go up here. Data context gets new window view model. Public I list items to get. All right, huzzah. Okay. This guy here has something, so let's just go and steal his code from the code behind. Let's see, data grids. It's probably up here. B, C, D, E, F, G. Maybe not. I guess we got to go back here and see what this guy does. Oh, lists and grids. My mistake. Create data. What do you do? Sure. We're literally just going to steal some code. Why not? Boom. Let's see. So we're going to bring that guy in. We'll grab the selectable view model class, which I assume is probably straightforward and simple. Let's see. Boom. And then obviously it needs the view model base class because reasons. And then we will come over here and go, boom. This is how you inline all the things, right? Quick and dirty. Quick and dirty. Yeah, do that. Get the caller member name. Something, something, something. You're probably unhappy about nullable reference types. Don't care, don't care. Let's see. What we're going to do is we're just going to declare this guy with the same type. And then the initial setter can just be create data. Boom. Done. Okay. So I want to confirm what the heck this thing does. Too many closing braces. I want to confirm what this data grid does when I press that arrow. Okay, so that looks like normal WPF. Left arrow, left arrow. Okay, so definitely a bug. Definitely a bug. I do want to take a quick peek while I've got this guy open now at if there is a focus scope set somewhere in this vicinity, because so you'll note the focus scope here is set to main window. I was sort of anticipating something lower. Okay, so that's clearly part of the problem. We're going to just let you sit for the moment. Come back to here. So this guy here, data grid column header, why do you get picked up in so this is the cell, and somehow it's deciding that it's going to jump all the way up to here. So something's what's the attached property for tab navigation? There's a service or a keyboard navigation. Tab navigation, that's what I'm looking for. It doesn't show it to me. I do wonder if back over here, yeah, so it's worth noting that they do call out these are not the exact templates and that they're there for his reference. The thing is, this is not exactly tab navigation. Actually, it might be, because that is going to the same spot. Not exactly the same spot, but it is jumping up to here. See, these have tab stop set and tab indexes set. Do these ones have tab indexes on their headers? Sorry, I'm just checking to see if there's something weird about headers, presenter, scroll content. I don't think so. I'm just comparing these two trees as I work my way down. Items presenter. About that is somewhere, but it's not. Interesting. So that is probably the difference. So can I tab? No, I cannot tab. Okay. So that is assuredly the difference. Is when you tab through these things, right? It should stop. Instead, it's moving out. Well, let's put a second in our demo here. Let's put something else out here for it to tab into. Let's see. All right, so we'll come down here and we'll do, I don't know, text box, grid, row 1. Right? So I want to see when I tab through the grid what happens. Tab, tab, tab. Okay, so it does tab out. But more importantly, tab doesn't get me into the top rows, right? Whereas here, which I've clearly closed, the arrows were getting me there. So let's go. Yeah, so it's tabbing through the selectors on each of these. I think that's the bug. So let's go down here and let's do themes, WPF, themes, data grid. Because I think data grid here, specifically, what was the name of that sucker? Give me my Snoop back. Give me my Snoop. That guy. The list sort direction indicator. That's what I want. List. Yeah, so, and I think what we do is tab stop false. And that probably fixes the bug. Yep, that fixes it. Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Just make sure this is the only instance of this guy in here. Yeah, good. Okay, so fix another bug. Create branch here. Fixes. We're just plowing through bugs tonight. Just plowing through bugs. Let's see. This guy here. 2234. Let's do that. Okay. Arrow keys should not move focus to header. Boom. Oh, we should fixes pound 223 update message and push and submit, and away we go. Away we go. Oy vey. Pull requests. Compare pull request. We'll go here, we'll go here, make sure you get put into the right milestone. And away we go. Style and theme with default looks, blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna ignore that for now. Yo, what's up, weed? Let's see. Text box update cause UI. I had an idea for a game. Good night. I love it though. That's awesome. Let's see. Let's take a look at this one here. Default scroll bar, repeat buttons are yeah, so let's take a look at this. This is probably going to be an interesting one. Let's see, I think I can just collapse this guy. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Zoom it's going to be our best friend. And whoa. Yeah, sure enough, it's being clipped. Okay, so let's take this one on real quick. Sign yourself, sure. Labels, bug. And let's go and see if we can clean this guy up. Something about a scroll viewer. It's probably actually scroll bar, I imagine. Snoop, you're in the way now. Go away. Scroll bar button, repeat button. This guy here. You know what we should actually probably do? So we should just do this in Snoop. And then, so Snoop has this wonderful feature that's magnifier, right? So we're going to set you right here. So that makes it pretty obvious, right? And then you take Snoop and we go and tweak it until it does what we want, and then we go and make the appropriate changes. So the assumption was that the view box was the problem, which is very possible. So I believe once we get down into this point, we're probably into just a pack icon. So this guy had, let's see, let's look at width. Margin, oh, it's or condition. I wonder if this were a 2, if that would do that. So that is certainly causing the clipping, right? Because that does that. But I'm wondering if what this really should be is a 2, 3. I think I like that better. I'm not even sure it needs the 3 at the bottom, does it? Does it need the 3 at the top? It does feel a little offset without it. In fact, could even do that and feel pretty happy with it. Yeah, I think that's probably where we want to land. So on the view box, 2, 3, 1 on the margin. Let's go hunt it down. So view box. Boom. There's that guy. How many of these guys are in here? Line left, line right. So probably we want to check top and bottom. So this is line up. So this is where we established that it needed to be 2, 3, 2, 1. I think is what we concluded. 2, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's go and do the next one. And we'll adjust that as well. So if we come down here, right, so that is once again line down button. We'll pop our magnifier. We've already kind of got an idea of what we're looking for, so we want to drive into the view box. And I suspect what we want is a 2, 1, 2, 3. Nope, got that backwards. 3, 1. I think that's better. We'll come down here, and we're now looking for the line down 1, which is that one. Boom. And then let's go, I think, oh, not what I wanted, not what I wanted. Let's see, I believe if I scrunch you up, do I not get the horizontally one? That's disappointing. Let me go to one of the other views. I think Fields has the horizontal scroll, or Buttons will have it. No. Check Buttons. Just trying to think of which one of these guys has a ton of... Oh, hang on. They're up here too. We can grab this one. Okay, so there's that. Let's back up to here so we can grab it in a reasonable spot. Pop magnifier. And sort of the same deal here. Drill into the view box. So let's see. We probably want a 1, 2... No, I'm sorry. We probably want a 3, 2, 1, 2. Yeah, that looks better. So we will do that. And that's going to go onto the right button. That's left. That's right. Paste. Let's jump back. Grab the one on the left. Same deal. Magnifier button in the bottom. Oh, that's probably a little hidden. This button down here. It's pretty. Magnifier. Boom. So it brings up whatever your selected element is from over here in a nice window where you can zoom it. You can even go 3D mode if you want to like figure out how things are laid out and whatnot. In our case, I just want it big so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so there it goes there. Okay, and then based on what we did before, I think we just drop this in, and this becomes a 3, this becomes a 1. I think that's backwards though, right? That's better. Which now is making me question if I did the right thing to the other one. So let's jump back over to here, bring up that magnifier. Bring up the magnifier there. Sometimes you do have to go up a little bit because if you just grab the nested element, it ends up not giving you quite what you're looking for. No, because that one should be shifted over. No, it looks like that's correct. Okay. Let's check our diff. Does that mean that 2 3 2 1 3 2 1 2 3 2 1 2? Let's see. Fixing default scroll bars arrow being clipped. Fixes. Let's see. Boom. This one. Let's see. That. Just realizing I didn't make a branch. So we're going to create a branch here. Fixes, boom, 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 boom. Commit, push, submit. And that's probably where I'm going to end up calling it for the night. Let's see. You all passed. Great, great. Let's make sure. Did I put the issue in the right milestone? I did. Delete follow-up branch. Come over to pull requests. Create and pull. Come on. Load. Put you in the milestone. Create pull request. Let's get you in the milestone so that you can go into the right spot. I'm not entirely sure how long I'm going to let this 410 milestone sit. It's quickly getting a lot of stuff in it. Might just kick it quick, right? Rather than letting it build up and build up and build up and getting big and large, especially since we did just add a bunch of stuff into it. So, meh. We might do a 410 fairly rapidly. I think I'm going to let some of these fixes sit for a little bit. And we can let those simmer. Let's see. Unable to load projects. I think I'm going to kill this issue, or at least unpin it. And we're going to do a new issue. Breaking 5.0 changes. Let's see. Because I try to keep a list of all of the stuff that I want to break. That way when it comes time to break it, let's see. Let's see. So if anybody has anything else of major breaking changes that you want to make sure gets included, feel free to comment and let me know. But once we get around to doing the 5.0 release, usually I'll hold off on these until there's a reason to actually go and do it. So I try not to do too many breaking releases too rapidly. So drawer host. Let's see. So remove drawer host open mode. Obsolete in 4.1.0. See, edit 4.0.0. Obsolete in something like that. So this guy is going to go into the 5.0 milestone. He's going to get tagged with release notes because, and then obviously breaking changes because that's a thing. Let's see, submit new issue. And then I want to go back over to here and I want to pin it. Let's see. Where's the pin button? Where's the pin? Projects, pin. Am I blind or stupid? Let's be back on the issue page. Pinned issues. I want to pin you. How? Marcus open. How does one pin the issue? I clearly did it here. What did I do? Oh, it's down on the right. That's where it is. So you come down here and you go pin. There we go. And now we've got a list up here. So Boy, it'd be nice if those went in a different order. Yeah, whatever. They will be in the order they are in, but at least these are up and open. So I think with that, I'm probably going to sign off for the night. Call it a little early. I apologize for anybody who's waiting on the YouTube video that I haven't posted last week's. I'm in the process of trying to automate some of my video stuff, and so I've been using last week's video as my test case, which is the only reason it's not published yet. So I will try and get that up soon. For now, it's still viewable on Twitch for the next several weeks, so I'm not in any huge rush, but I'm trying to get my automation in and working so that things start flowing a lot smoother again. So with that, thank you for coming and hanging out, everyone. It's fun. Got to knock a bunch of stuff out. Looking forward to seeing everybody next week and showing off what NDepend can do. So with that, happy coding. See everyone later.